Hi, I'm Devin. Welcome back to my garden. I garden here in Zone 70, Maryland. I focus on making garden related content on this channel, and I try to do a weekly garden tour where I just kind of walk you through my garden and talk to you about what's looking good and maybe not so good. So come follow me along and let's see what's going on. I'm gonna start out here by my roses and my allium. These are the Proven Winners Oh So Easy Red Rose, and they are beautiful. They have been blooming all season long from June until now, which is the middle of August, which I can hardly believe it is the middle of August already. That's just crazy to me. But they just look so good from June until October, when we might get a frost. And I just love the combination of the Oh So Easy Red Rose and the allium, the Serendipity allium that's underneath, that they're underplanted with. I just really enjoy that purple pink combo, and the allium are such a bee magnet. They just swarm these allium all day, probably hundreds of bees and butterflies just flying all around them. I just love them so much, and I really would like to add more of the allium to my other gardens. And they are a bunny, bunnies do not like them, which in my garden is a big plus because I deal with a lot of bunnies. So any plant that I can find that the bunnies don't like, I need to add more of. Stepping back from my roses is our Merlot redbud that I've shown many times. I'm really enjoying how it's kind of draping over our flagstone pathway right here. I'm probably gonna have to trim back some of the branches because when you walk under it, it's a little too low hanging, our heads hit it, but I just really think it's pretty in this location. Coming under our Merlot, we have a blue spruce, and I had planted a rudbeckia that the rabbits have kind of eaten away at, but I think that it'll be really pretty in this location as it grows and gets bigger, contrasting with the roses. And I have a Jolly Good clematis tucked back in there that I just put in this year that will need to put on a lot more growth. Next year it'll grow some more and hopefully flower. But I really enjoy this combination of the red leaf on the red bud, especially in the springtime when it first emerges, and the glow blue spruce with that orange rudbeckia. And I also have an incredible wee white hydrangea tucked back in here, which is again on its first year. I just put that in the spring, so hopefully next year that will also fill out a little bit better. And some winter gem boxwood kind of lining the bed here, with another shot of the roses and the allium. And looking down the way, I have a holly that will fill out this wall nicely once it grows, with some daisy May, Proven Winners daisies, some rhododendron, and this looks down into our side yard where I have my main sunny perennial border. So I'm gonna walk you back through there and show you what's going on back there. As we enter through the gates, I have this beautiful Thomas Edison dahlia finally in bloom, planted on the left here. It's looking so beautiful. And I just love this view of our garden as I'm standing out by the road. I just think it is so pretty. And as you walk in through the gate, to the left is the bed right behind me. This is my obelisk bed. We built this obelisk about 2 years ago and just put it in last year. My goal is to paint it white sometime this fall, hopefully. But I really enjoy the structure that it adds behind me against kind of that blank wall. I do hope to add some taller perennials and biennials and maybe some trellises on this wall to just really fill it out. I just want this bed to be lush and overflowing with color, and the boxwood hedge that we have behind it really provides some nice structure to kind of then calm all of that down. The bed across from me is also very full, and although I want to make it fuller, it's very lush, just has a lot going on. So that boxwood hedge kind of across in juxtaposition, is that the right word, from it just really helps to keep everything kind of a little bit calmer and for your eye to just kind of rest on. So I think that they're just in their second season. I actually just put them in the fall, so they're not nearly at their full growing potential. I plan to try to keep them about 2 feet tall, maybe 2 feet wide, and just kind of a nice, neat, tidy hedge along the edge. And in this bed I have some different perennials. I have some salvia, and I have some vegetables growing, and some zinnias. I have a Tonto red crepe myrtle kind of flanking the end of the bed, and some limetta. Is that incredible? I forget. Anyway, some limetta hydrangea that are placed on either side of the Tonto crepe myrtle, and some sun patience, and just everything is really filling out nicely at this time of the year. And the bees just love everything in it. The butterflies, I really enjoy just sitting out here and letting everything fly around me. It's really fun. But let me turn you around and just show you up close what I have in this bed. The boxwood hedge really is looking very, very nice right now. It's definitely putting on some fresh green growth and just looking really healthy. I'm really, really pleased with it. I'm gonna bring you back over here, and this is some Mystic Spires blue salvia, which is finally putting on some really nice growth. This is a little bit marginal for our area. It's hardy, I think, down to zone 7, and we are zone 7A, but we're kind of on the border of 7A, 6B. So I did put these in last year and they did not come back for me. So I'm kind of curious to see what they do this year, but I just really love them, and so do the bees. You can see that there's a bee on there right now. He's kind of hiding from us. There we go. Bees love this plant so much. Right next to it, my patio tomato is finally putting on lots of fruit. They're not ripe yet, but that's okay. I just love having at least something, some kind of vegetable growing in my yard. I live on a very small 0.2 acre lot, so there's not a lot of room for vegetables, except for in small pockets and in pots, which I do hope to do a little bit more container vegetable gardening in the future. This is my baby cucumber plant, and I see that there is one. Oh, there's a couple. Oh my. A couple of cucumbers. I've already picked off maybe 4 from here. I do have 2 more planted along the back there, but they are not really growing so good. I think it's just a sun issue. They don't get as much sun. And behind my salvia are my sunflowers that are growing. There's only one that didn't make it with the rabbits. So I think that my wire mesh cages that I made were fairly effective, and I also did sprinkle them with some garlic powder. You can see that the flowers are already forming, the buds. So I am excited for those. And walking you down this way, I did have a jalapeno plant right there that the rabbits ate down to about nothing. I planted some baby pumpkins, which is another win. The rabbits apparently don't like pumpkins. So I'm excited to see those grow. Right here I have an anemone that has not put on its flower buds yet. And my zinnias are finally blooming. They're just starting to bloom right here in front of the obelisk. This one, I think that this mix is mostly Benary's Giant. And over here, I believe that this is a Lilliput mix. But I really love how this side looks right now with the boxwoods and the zinnias just kind of spilling over, and the salvia right behind the zinnias. I just think that is such a beautiful combination right here. Just love it. Behind the salvia, I have more sunflowers, which this one, or there's a couple that I don't know if anybody knows, please let me know, but there's these black dots and the flowers look like they're not doing too good either. So I'm not sure what's on my sunflowers. If you know, please let me know. But they will fill out this wall with some beautiful yellow color. And next to all of this, I have a Melina. This is supposed to be Melina Fleur, but I'm a little skeptical if it actually is. It doesn't look like it to me. It's more of a lighter kind of dusty pink, and I thought the Melina Fleur was a little bit of a brighter pink. It's really beautiful nonetheless, but I was expecting something different for sure. And this is my I keep saying that, my Limetta hydrangea. I did go in and cut back some of the more brown blooms because this is a reblooming hydrangea, and it will rebloom for you if you give it enough time before the frost and enough sun. I do see another bloom popping up right there, so that's great. And we did have some heavy rains last night, so my Tonto crepe myrtle is looking a little floppy this morning, but this has been the best year yet for it. It's been so pretty, just this bright watermelon pink bloom. Just really, really love it. Adds so much color to this back area. And under there I have these are actually the vigorous orchid variety of Sun Patience that are doing well. I was hoping that they'd be a little taller, but they don't get a ton of sun, so I don't know, maybe that's why, but they are flowering really nicely. And I have another Limetta right here, which is not looking as good. The blooms are a lot more brown. I think it just must get more sun than the other one. So I did go through and cut off some of the blooms. I don't know, I'm not sure how much it'll rebloom, but I did go through and deadhead some of them. And my denim and lace Russian sage blooming its head off all season long. This is like the red roses out front, just gives me all season color, and the bees absolutely love it. There's some on there right now. So pretty. I love how it just frames in the flower bed across the way there, my sunny border with the crepe myrtle. I just think it's so beautiful. and coming right behind my crepe myrtle, I did want to give you an update that I had done a video a while back of me planting some cosmos in this bed, and it was just an experiment. I don't have anything else in here right now. I hope to put like a bird bath or a fountain in here and fill it with some perennials. And they got super tall. They were not flowering yet, which I know cosmos can take a while to flower. But we had a really bad storm come through one day and it just flattened them to the ground. So I didn't feel like staking them, and honestly they looked really ratty because the rabbits had taken so many of them, so they were just really spotty and not looking great. So I just made the decision to take them out for now. But next year I may just intersperse them throughout my garden beds a little bit more instead of trying to do like one big clump in here. You can see the pink, it's like pink snow on the ground from my crepe myrtle. It's so pretty. Bringing you across to my sunny border. I am just loving this so much this year. It is filling out so beautifully. To think that this whole area was completely bare just a couple of years ago is just crazy to me. We added this beautiful hedge of purple pillar rose of Sharon that is just the perfect size for this part of our yard. It allows me to still plant some things in front of it. I just think it's so beautiful. It just started blooming a couple of weeks ago. It is a later bloomer, probably the end of July for most people. So you do have to be a little bit patient, but I was enjoying some of the perennials blooming in front of it while I was waiting on those beautiful purple buds to show. We have just a mixture of some perennials and some annuals. I have repeated some black-eyed Susans and some Powell pink coneflower and daisies throughout the border. I have lots of zinnias and a few dahlias. I have some hydrangea. I really tried to be repetitive with some of the plants to provide some of that consistency, but it also just has a very kind of free-flowing, almost crazy lush feel to it. I'll turn you around and show you some things up close. Starting in the front, I have a limelight prime hydrangea that is looking so beautiful. The blooms are so big. There's my hand in reference. And they're just starting to put on kind of that pinky mauvey color. This hydrangea has been much more sturdy than my limetta hydrangea down the way. I did have to tie it up a little bit because some of the younger kind of smaller blooms at the bottom were kind of splaying out all over the place, but I just used some twine to tie it up. The larger, taller stems are perfectly fine. They do not need tied up. But I just thought that helped to kind of bring it a more tidy appearance. And underneath my hydrangea, I have a dahlia. This is the HS Date dahlia. It's a single dahlia, and it was blooming, but unfortunately today it doesn't have a bloom on it. I'll show you a bloom though from when it was blooming. I really enjoy the dark foliage on this. I think it really contrasts nicely with the limelight prime behind it and my boxwood. I have a row of derunk boxwood right here that are also putting on some nice growth. That's good. And bringing you down the way, I have some patches of zinnia in front of the hydrangea that have not quite bloomed yet. These were sown a little later because of the rabbits taking the original ones. But they are finally putting on some growth. I see a couple about to bloom. This right in front of my Limelight Prime was a phlox that I had planted a couple of weeks ago. I got that from Lowe's on the clearance rack, and it turns kind of a salmony pink color. I did cut it off in hopes that maybe it would rebloom for me. It's looking a little rough right now, but next season it'll be beautiful. I have some mint placed in a pot in the ground to keep it from spreading. You can see my rabbit-eaten lily. This was a royal sunset lily. And an herb pot in a galvanized container that was my grandfather's. It's really special to me. I have some rosemary tucked in there and some sage and thyme, some purple basil that has seen better days. I did also have some dill back in there for the swallowtail butterflies, caterpillars, but the rabbits ate that off. And this is the Buried Treasure Strawberry by Proven Winners. Next year I'm thinking I'm gonna put this in a pot to protect it from the rabbits, but I am getting some beautiful red berries. So that's great. I have some more zinnias, and this is a caramel heuchera. I just added this a couple of days ago in one of my videos. I love that caramely color. And just that, I just think it looks beautiful for fall, kind of transitioning you into fall with that color. Black-eyed Susans that I've also tied up so they're not flopping all over everything else. And this is a jalapeno plant. I've been picking jalapenos off of my plants. I have another one behind me that I forgot to show that is doing really well. This is a Royal Aloha elephant ear. Really doing nicely. This one is a lot bigger than the one on the other side for some reason. But it's really beautiful. I love that color, tucked right back in here. I think it's so pretty. In front of that is another caramel heuchera, some daisies, more coneflower. I'm going to give you an up close picture of the Rose of Sharon. Oh, such a pretty flower. Coming down below the Black-eyed Susan is a patch of raspberry ripple zinnias. These took a long time to get going, but once they got going, they really got going. I think that they are so pretty. I did get these from one of my local stores, the Mill, but I know that you can buy them on Park Seed. They're so pretty. This is like Cat's Pajamas, Nepeta, reblooming a little bit. I had cut that back. So it's putting on a few new buds. And a powwow pink coneflower, which I forgot to show you. This one over here, the rabbits completely ate off this past week. So that's a bummer. But that is definitely what I deal with in this garden. Just have to make the best of it. walking you down, more heuchera and lamb's ear. This is the Helen Bonstein lamb's ear. I really love this lamb's ear. It does not flower. It stays nice and tidy, which I really, really love. And I definitely plan to kind of spread that throughout this garden. This is the Mystic Spires dahlia. Beautiful, bright yellow flowers against that dark purple foliage. I do love these so much, but next year I think I may put them somewhere else. I really would like to add a different color right here. Maybe like a purple or something, because I have the black-eyed Susan, so it's like a little too much yellow for me, and would just like to kind of mix it up a little bit. So I would love to find another dahlia with dark foliage and maybe a purple bloom. So if you know of any names, please let me know and I'll look into it. I had built this bamboo fence for my little lime hydrangea because it was so floppy, and it's working really nicely. I added some twine to the top of it and tied it together with twine. And then I also added a middle stake to tie up the taller blooms. But so far, I think that's working really nice. And we did get some really heavy rain last night, and it's still looking pretty good. And it's also getting its beautiful kind of mauve-y color to it. It's so pretty. I have again some repetition with the heuchera and the catman and the raspberry ripple zinnia. They come out kind of that candy cane look, and then some of them turn into this bright pink, more solid flower. More black-eyed Susan and some coneflower tucked back in there. I'm probably gonna adjust the coneflower and daisies this probably spring, and move the coneflower more to the front and the daisies so they're not, you know, kind of hiding behind the black-eyed Susans. Another elephant ear, which I said from the other one, this is not getting nearly as big as that other one, but it's still looking okay. It's just not as big. More powwow wildberry coneflower, black-eyed Susans, heuchera, and a nice big patch of zinnias. These have really taken off. I just love all the colors of the zinnias. I think they are so pretty. Tucked back in there, I have a dahlia that hasn't started to bloom yet. That is the David Howard dahlia. And I had planted a bunch of foxglove that I divided from a big pot, so they're looking pretty ratty, but the rabbits have not touched them, and I think that they will be beautiful next year. This is my Twombly's Red Sentinel Japanese maple that we just put in this year that will fill out this space really nicely as it grows. And coming back behind my birdhouse, down here I have a phlox, same phlox as on the other side, salmony pink color. It's Monrovia phlox, and I'm blanking out on the name right now. but it does get salmony pink flowers. And these are my wee white hydrangeas that are finally putting on a second set of buds after I had cut them back. They were pretty ratty looking. Those will be beautiful when they're fully blooming. And that is an overview of my sunny border. Definitely at the peak of its season. Looking super, super beautiful right now. Okay, I'm going to show you the back corner of our yard, which is the more shady side of our yard. Walking back to the back side of our yard, we have this more shady side that is shaded by the river birch trees right behind me. I absolutely love having those trees in our yard. They provide such a nice relief during the afternoon, and I just think they're so beautiful with that kind of peeling bark. In this area, we're definitely still working on filling out with perennials and shrubs. There's a lot that I would like to do back here, but for now I have 2 obelisks placed in the bed, which we built at the same time as the other obelisk. I love the structure that they add to this area. I think they're so pretty, and I do want to paint these white as well, just to help them to pop and stand out a little bit better. And we have 3 Annabelle hydrangeas lining the back of the fence, and this beautiful river of impatiens. I bought, I think it was 2 flats of impatiens and just placed them all along the front of the border, and they've just filled out so beautifully. And behind all of that, there is an autumn brilliance serviceberry kind of at the corner with some hostas and some ferns and some more shade-loving plants back in there. So I'm gonna turn the camera around and show you what's back in here now. I just couldn't be more happy with these obelisks in this bed. I really love how they look, that structure, and just the uniqueness of them. I just think they're so beautiful. I do have at the base of them planted some clematis, pink mint clematis. And again, the rabbits have eaten them off to the ground, but it's somewhere down in there. So hopefully next year that clematis will grow up a little bit on these obelisks. I'm not thinking that it will get to its full blooming potential because it does get a good bit of shade, but I have heard that they can do okay in shadier situations. So we'll just have to see how it does. If they don't do well, I'll move them somewhere else. The impatiens, I just really am loving the color, all the color that these provide back here. My Annabelle hydrangea, actually I think they've been doing fairly well underneath the river birch because it kind of protects them from the heaviest of rains. So they haven't really been super floppy. Now they have been eaten by the rabbits. And you can see that they're starting to put on some new growth, which is nice. The rabbits kind of chewed off the bottoms of them. But they are super beautiful. Really loving them here. This is Japanese forest grass that I have protected, that I do plan to split and move throughout the border here. Coming down into this little shady corner, we have the autumn brilliant serviceberry. It gets brilliant orange color in the fall. Really a beautiful tree. And I did have 3 Brunner here, which I showed you before, that just petered out on me. I don't know why. I had been watering them. I really loved them here, so I'm gonna try them again next year. But yeah, and some columbine. You can see all the little baby columbine coming up. It's exciting. And over here I just have my mixture of hosta with some autumn brilliance fern. Just have some blue halcyon, and that's a Shadowland Diamond Lake back in there. And some elegans that I got a split from my mom, and boy, it has just taken off and filled in so nicely. And some wee hosta. These autumn brilliance ferns have this beautiful kind of reddish color when they first come out. This is wildberry heuchera placed in front. And again, I just kind of repeated the pattern on this side. And I have an anemone tucked back in here, which I'm gonna have to move. But it's hiding underneath the hosta right there. So again, I want to fill this out with some shrubs and some perennials. I would love to do kind of an evergreen hedge along the edges of the fence as a backdrop, maybe some Hicks yew or some kind of a smaller yew that we could keep into a small hedge, keep pruned into a small hedge. That's the view, kind of looking back onto the yard. Crepe myrtle and the black-eyed Susans and hydrangea just kind of glowing. Looks so, so pretty. And right behind me, we have a hedge of green giant arborvitae, which we also have on the other side of our property, if you want to call it that, over by my sunny border. And this is a beautiful tree. They do get fairly big. In hindsight, we probably should have done something smaller like the emerald green or something like that, but we really love the shape of these and the texture. I just think they're beautiful. So we will have to trim them at the bottoms and kind of problem solve as we go along to keep them in check. But they are just a beautiful tree. I really love them. Walking you in through our other side gate, we have it flanked with some incredible hydrangeas that have been eaten away by the rabbits. Not looking their absolute best, but hopefully in years to come they'll be beautiful and filling out this side, both sides of the fence, or framing the door, I guess, really, really nicely. And looking back, that's our obelisk bed back there. And our Dragon Lady Holly bed that gives us some nice privacy on our deck and from our hot tub. And you can see that I finally have these zinnias blooming as well. The struggle has been real with the rabbits, which I see they've eaten. I just put this coneflower in a couple days ago. I made a video about that and the sedum that I planted, and they've already nibbled off some of that coneflower, so I'm gonna have to protect that. But you can see that I have protected this new sedum. This is Autumn Joy sedum that I put in a couple of days ago. I grew these from cuttings from plants that I already had that my mom had originally given me. They just keep on giving. So these will fill out this corner nicely, and I hope to fill this area out with lots of perennials as years go by. But I will show you my zinnias. Oh my goodness, they are so pretty. Look at that bright pink color. Wow, I think a lot of these are the Beneries Giant Mix, and maybe some State Fair, maybe some Cut and Come Again. But they are looking really nice. I'm loving that right now. Coming back over to this other side. I have a shepherd's hook here that I still need to put something on. And I also wanted to show you quick, in another video, I had planted out this delphinium, which, oh, never mind. The rabbits had eaten them off and they actually started to grow back. But I forgot to cover them again last night and they ate them off again. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to put some covers on those little patches and hope that they come back for a third time. Oh, so frustrating. Bringing you back, we have a hedge of sweet talker viburnum and some ageratum tucked back in here. This viburnum will get about 10 feet tall if we let it, and 3 to 5 feet wide. Perfect for this little portion by our fence. And the ageratum has been amazing, blooming its head off and totally rabbit resistant. I will definitely be adding more of that throughout my gardens next year for sure. And it's pretty cheap to buy in flats. Definitely a plus. The front of my house is looking so beautiful right now with the sun patience really at their peak, and my begonia and ferns filling out so nicely, and the hosta, the andina. I'm just really pleased with how everything's looking right now. I just can't get enough of the sun patience. I think that they're so beautiful. And that's the end of my tour today. Thank you so much for joining me and walking around with me. I hope that you enjoyed it. It is crazy to me to think that this whole yard was basically bare just about 3 years ago, and now it's just filled in so beautifully, and I'm really enjoying it. So I hope that you enjoyed it too, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.